Welcome to another episode of Wired In with Apavelli. Let's get wired in. Let's talk about My Basketball Playbook app. My Basketball Playbook app was released September 22nd, 2014. And here we are, 2019, and so many changes has happened since then. And I want to talk about it. So, My Basketball Playbook was originally a Windows Phone app, just for Windows Phone. At the time, there was an app gap. There weren't any apps in the store. And I said, I'm going to design an app for coaches. A lot of people would say, well, a lot of people are not using Windows Phone. Well, you never know in other countries. And some people here in the U.S., they actually have Windows Phone, and they downloaded my app. My Basketball Playbook did well on Windows Phone. So I extended My Basketball Playbook to Windows 8 runtime, Windows 8.1. And over time, I just started implementing changes where you can manage your roster, calculate team stats. What else? It had so many different design changes. That is fluent now. With the recent release, you have fluid design, has a little bit more modern features. But the reason why I designed the app, I was talking to someone, and we were talking about sports. We were just talking about plays. We were talking about basketball. I think we were talking about the Lakers and the triangle offense or something like that. I can't remember. It was in California when I made the app. So I just started thinking. And I had a Windows Phone at the time. So as a developer, anytime I make an app, I make something that I would use. So I built it for me. Because I was just a fan of basketball. I said, I wonder what it would be like designing plays, on my mobile device. And then I said, I'm going to release this in the store. And I did. $4.99. And people purchased the app. And I don't think there were many playbook apps on Windows Phone at the time. So I didn't have competition. Not too much in the Windows Phone, but maybe in the Windows Runtime or Microsoft Store. Little bit competition, but I tried to implement features that were not in other apps. And I want my Basketball Playbook app to just be an app, not just where you can design plays, but it can help coaches, every day, where you can manage your roster, set your daily practice schedule, stats. I have so many features I want to implement still to this day. And so then after releasing it on Windows 8, in 2015, Microsoft announced the framework UWP, Universal Windows Platform. Now at the time, the focus was still on mobile. So with the focus still being on mobile, I said, you know what? I need to make this UWP app. So I created a new project. And instead of having, so when you built universal apps back around 2014, you would have two projects. You would have the Windows Phone, and then you have the runtime. And some APIs could share code, and some, couldn't. So if you made a Windows Phone Silverlight version, you wouldn't be able to access those features on Windows Runtime. I had those issues. So I decided to re-engineer the application. Now, it didn't really take long. I didn't really have to change much because it was C sharp, but I just created a new project and it became a UWP, one code base. And with UWP, it was more flexible. I liked the APIs. It was actually easier than having two code bases in one project. So later on, when I started to realize that Microsoft they pretty much stopped focusing on Windows Phone or Windows Mobile, I started to focus more on the desktop. So I started to decouple features from the mobile, and over time I just unpublished it because I didn't receive any downloads on mobile for a while, and I said, you know what, I can just focus on the desktop. I was getting more downloads on the desktop version, tablet version too. So it was still a UWP app because I changed the project to UWP, which gave me more flexibility to release it on Xbox or the HoloLens or Mixed Reality or whatever. So it's still a universal Windows application. And so for about a year, I just had it released on the desktop, and I received a lot of downloads. I mean, My Basketball Playbook has been a top paid sports app in the Microsoft Store for about 3 years straight. Last week, it was #1 top paid app in the Microsoft Store. So, but back to 2016 now. My Basketball Playbook is doing well in the Microsoft Store. So I still wanted to release a mobile version. Now by this time I have an Android phone. So I said I just might as well create an Android version. Created the Android version. The Android version sucked. I didn't really care about it. I didn't think I would make any money. And then I started getting people to buy the app. People started buying the app, and I said, well, I actually have to care about this app now. So I started working on features in the Android version. And then later on, 27? No, it was this year, actually. This year, I decided to release My Basketball Playbook on the Xbox. So I said, you know what? Why not? I'm sure if someone's at home, they might play NBA 2K. They might get an idea on a team they're playing against. They might want to draw plays. So why not have it available on the Xbox? So I created an Xbox version. So now My Basketball Playbook is available on Windows 10 devices, PC, tablet, hub, Xbox One, and then Android devices, mobile phones, tablets. Now there isn't an iOS version yet, but with the success of this app, I may have to consider extending this to iOS, especially with the new features that I just implemented. So over the past couple weeks, I decided to make it develop the app to where users are allowed to share data across devices. So if I'm on my mobile device and I want to calculate team stats, or I want to, add someone to the roster, I want to set my daily practice schedule, what if I have the PC version and I want to access that same data? So I can just log in, I can have access to that data. Same thing with mybasketballplaybook.com. I can go to mybasketballplaybook.com, log in, and I can set my lineup from the website. So basically, whatever you do on any device, it will be in sync with the other device. So now I'm thinking, if I have an iOS version, this will truly be a universal app. So I'm going to have to really look at the Apple App Store and look at the other apps. But I think regardless, I'm gonna create an iOS version. Now, the reason I created an Android version, for one, I have the Android developer license, Google developer license. I have an Android phone. I know Java. I know C Sharp. So really didn't take that long to build the app. Actually, My Basketball Playbook took me about a week to develop on Android. So now with Xamarin is a mature framework. I know C Sharp. I might as well build a native version for iOS. That's what I'm thinking about doing. Instead of, and I might learn Swift. I mean, I might have this application be a pure native app using Swift, and because My Basketball Playbook is developed in Java, on Windows, C Sharp, but due to time, I might just use Xamarin just to get it out on iOS quick. That's the only reason. So, and My Basketball Playbook is still going strong. It's still the number one sports app, paid sports app. I don't want to say sports app in general because you have free apps that are number one. So my app is not the number one, but it's the top paid in the Microsoft Store, and I want to keep it that way. So I'm always motivated to implement new features, and I'm always thinking about how can I make the app better. There's other features that I'm working on right now that I'm excited about. I don't know when they'll be released, but I'm excited, to work on these features. Like I was really excited over the weekend once I passed all the testing through the app. I tested on all platforms. I tested on the Android, Xbox, PC, tablet. Everything functions. I even gave it a little new design, and I gave it a new design. It has a new look, new logo. I've come a long way. The original logo was not really good. The image was flat, so now it just has more of a clean look, and it feels modern. So the app is a paid app. It's $4.99 if you buy the Windows version, and it's $2.99 for Android. Now, I thought about just releasing it for free on mobile, but due to the fact that you have to log in and store your information, I feel like users should pay for that. I might even reevaluate my monetization strategy over time, depending on how the app does right now with the current model. So it's $2.99 for Android, $4.99 for Windows. And now we'll have a sale for Android next week. I will do a week sale for My Basketball Playbook, and I'm going to market My Basketball Playbook. My Basketball Playbook, it's its own brand. It has its own website, mybasketballplaybook.com, Facebook, My Basketball Playbook on Facebook, Instagram. I think I have a Twitter. So I'm going to post, these new updates on social media to update everyone on the new features for My Basketball Playbook. And I hope you like My Basketball Playbook on Facebook. Follow My Basketball Playbook on Instagram, Twitter. That will really help. Share it. If you know coaches, share the app. So, and also too, I want to talk about My Basketball Playbook because I want to show other developers that you can have success creating UWP apps. There's a stigma that UWP is dead, and I think they're misleading titles. These bloggers, they have misleading titles. It's not dead. It's just changed over time. Universal Windows platform is going to evolve over time. I think with Windows Phone officially going to be dead next month. I think, developers just said, to hell with UWP. But I think you're missing out on great opportunities because a lot of the new devices that are being released, like the new Surface, the mixed reality devices, even, PCs and laptops, Windows Lite. There's still a need for UWP apps, so it's still an open market. I think we just so focus on Google Play and Apple App Store. I think we should focus on all the stores. I don't think we should be exclusive to one platform. We have to consider all the platforms now. So I didn't think My Basketball Playbook would extend to other platforms. I thought this would just be a Windows app, but here I am, releasing an Android version, and highly considering releasing an iOS version. So that's it for this episode. My Basketball Playbook. It's been around for a while, and I started picking up success over the last probably 3 years. So it takes time, and I want to show other indie devs, if you have a product, you have an app, don't just release the app and say, okay, I'm not making money. Continue to work on the app. It takes time. You have to really be passionate about this stuff. You can't just say, I'm going to release this app and make money. You have to really be passionate. So, with that being said, I am about to get off. I am going to make some coffee. I am going to market My Basketball Playbook app. I'm going to promote it. I'm going to talk about it with other people. I'm going to actually play around with the app some more, think of some more ideas. I'm going to think of more apps that I want to release before the year is over and going into the next year. I want to restructure my company, my approach, just bring a new energy. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to focus on. You wired in with Appavelli. Follow me on Instagram, @Appavelli, on Twitter, @Appavelli. Follow the journey. Until next time, stay wired in, and I'm out.